Hello, hello, and welcome to the Rock and Roll Podcast. I'm your host, John Harris, and today on the Rock and Roll Podcast, we have Night Thieves, arguably the worst kind. Although it's more shocking when it happens in the day, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of ironic, isn't it? Yeah.
It's always how that works. Yeah, in broad daylight, as if there's any other kind of daylight.
Yeah, well, that happens
insulting.
around where I am.
Or insulting.
Yeah. You never say, like, at broad nighttime, I was robbed point blank. It's almost like it's expected, isn't it? Under shadow of nightfall.
Absolutely.
Isn't it funny how we add in things like, yeah, I paid good money for that. Have you ever said I paid bad money for that? You've never said that, have you?
No, absolutely not. Yeah. Go on, Rick.
I was going to say that is, was it the Shadow of Nightfall? Sounds like a really good metal band. I think you should. I think you should save that one.
I think we should. Beautiful. All right, before we go spiraling too far out of control, today on the Rock Metal Podcast, we have Night Thieves. They have a new EP called Spiral, which is going to be releasing on September 19th. That's the date I have from Gary with 2 R's. And right now I'm being joined by Jess and Rick to share some more information about this stellar release, as well as what the gang has got going on. So speaking of the gang, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely great to have you on. Now, if I understand, you guys are a power trio, yeah?
Absolutely, yep. You've got, of course, myself and Rick on here. We've also got Paul, who is our guitar maestro. I'm obviously the singer, and then Rick obviously is the guy on the bass, coming up with some cool riffs as well.
Yeah. Well, the important people are here, and that's all that's important. That's all that matters.
Yeah. Paul's too busy looking at the Euro 2020 match with England, so we'll cover for him. It's all right.
Mm-hmm. Now, I thought one of the interesting things that struck me about the EP when I heard it from Gary with 2 R's is that you guys didn't hit me as a power trio. I thought you guys were a significantly larger band, and I guess my first question is that an intention in this EP?
No, there's a drummer. There has been a drummer in our band, throughout our journey since we started in 2017. But yeah, I think, with the lockdown that's happened recently, that's made a few things a little bit difficult, even recording on the EP at the moment. And I think including for our drummer at the time as well, Chris, who also had to kind of deal with the situation at the time. So, myself, Paul and Rick, we decided to just go ahead with the EP, and we had a great drummer feature on our EP until we're looking for a drummer at the moment. Hey, Rick.
Yeah, got some auditions coming up, so fingers crossed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
fantastic. I say stick with superior drummer. It costs less money. It eats less. It doesn't disagree with anything you want to do.
Yeah, like a drum machine. Hey. just go with the drum machine.
Beautiful. You mentioned some things about lockdown and whatnot. How is that situation unfolding? We discussed a little bit. July 19th seems to be the magic day. How are things going? How are shows coming along? Are they coming along?
Shows. Wow.
What are those?
Lined up like towards the end of the year. You know how it is. It's sort of a few of them kind of fell through. I think towards the end, we had planned like last year. But we took the opportunity. I think that we were lucky that we were doing the recording and a bit of songwriting at the time. But we certainly do want to get some. We do want to get some gigs. We're really missing it. We're really missing it.
Mm-hmm. Just push play on the drum machine, count off, and then you're good to go.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Sweet.
Yeah.
Play. I've been there myself. What's amazing is when people are so drunk, they're like, "Man, your drummer is awesome." We're like, "We know. He's not going to eat any of our pizza tonight."
And cheap, as you say, very cheap.
Exactly, super cheap. Oh man, we even named our drum machine because we played with him so many times while we were looking for drummers, but we were still playing shows. We named him Marcus. I don't know why.
Oh, nice and simple, hey.
Yeah. Did you bring Marcus with you? Of course, I brought Marcus with us.
He doesn't speak much.
Yeah. Now I've got a quote here that work on Spiral began the moment lockdown happened. I'm just imagining some like emotionally dramatic moment where it's like, oh no, lockdown, Spiral, let's go now. I guess take us through that. Was it because of the downtime that you guys started working on it, or what happened?
We actually started working on it beforehand. We had started kind of the songwriting process. We'd finished our last EP, Battle Cry, around kind of towards the end of 2019. We were already raring to go with some more songs, slightly with a different feel, I think, with this one. So we'd already kind of planned it. But the turn it took, I guess, with the whole theme and stuff, it kind of merged together during the lockdown. I guess that kind of came together afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Now, speaking of the previous EP, I've also got another quote. I got lots of quotes. I'm going to base this entire interview off of quotes.
So good.
Yeah. Spiral is darker and heavier than their debut. Why is it darker and heavier? Was that a conscious choice? I was going to say cognizant choice, which I guess could work. Conscious choice.
Conscious choice, yeah. Yeah, I think we had played around with our sound. I think because like I said, we formed in 2017. We played around quite a lot with the sound and style back then, and yeah, we were a little bit lighter, I would say, in our first set of songs, a little bit more dancier, still rocky. But yeah, we found our way kind of through something else after the first experience. Hey.
Yeah, I think even before the pandemic, we were writing trying to go for heavier riffs, and trying to give things. We love having that kind of dynamic of having really heavy riffs but really catchy hooks, and I think we were already trying to start writing like that beforehand. And then I think once lockdown happened and we were continuing to write, but we were all doing it remotely, I think a few frustrations kind of came out, and I think the songs it started trending a bit darker if they weren't already. And yeah, I think that's how the sound came out at the end. And then I think that especially in the lyrics, I think they were definitely kind of how that came out in the end. There's a really cool bit in, I think it's one of the last songs on the EP, Figure It Out, where there's just a big scream in it at one point, and I think that was kind of cathartic, kind of, yes, we needed that kind of thing.
Has anybody ever told you that you kind of look like Sting?
Sting? No one has ever told me that.
Okay. I looked up
different to Ed Sheeran, right?
I've had Ed Sheeran, I've had Prince Harry, but I've never had Sting. I'm gonna have to check that out now.
Okay, I'm gonna take Ed Sheeran's probably a little bit closer. So if Sting and Ed Sheeran made a baby, Ed Sting Sheeran. I guess because you play bass, I don't know. It kind of just, the moment I saw you, I was like, that guy kind of looks like if Sting and Ed Sheeran made a baby.
I mean, Sting's an awesome bass player. I'm good compliment.
Oh, well, that's good to hear. Actually, that's a brilliant question. Not that he's not a good bass player. I've just never heard anybody say that out loud. So I guess my question is, what is it about Sting that inspires you or that makes you think he's a good bass player?
Oh, dear. I mean, I'm going to be honest and come clean. I'm not a huge Sting fan. But
you were just saying it, weren't you? Yeah.
No. From what I've seen, like, he is, I mean, his song's a testament to itself. And before I dig a hole, I'm going to stop.
I guess what I could say, as far as Sting as a bass player, is he plays what is appropriate. And I don't think I've ever listened to anything he's done and went, really? You thought that would go there?
I'm always in awe of anyone who can sing and play bass at the same time, because I can't do it. I try my very best, but anyone who can sing and play bass gets thumbs up.
Mm-hmm. I agree. So who does backing vocals? Jess? Who does all the backing vocals?
It's funny you should say that.
I try. But I'm saying I find it really difficult to do. I really try, but I have to really simplify the backing vocals on everything. And it's something I'm trying to work on, but I find it so hard. I don't know what. I think it's playing instead of strumming on a guitar. I think it's quite. I don't know. It's quite. It's simpler to do for me than playing fingers and with my fingers and bass and then trying to sing. I don't know. There's something disjointed between my head and my hands, which means I just can't do it.
Well,
I have to when Jess puts in all the really cool backing and harmonies into our music, I have to simplify it so much to at least make it work.
you are a man. Being disjointed between the head and the hands is pretty common.
Exactly. Got me.
Okay. I'm seeing some influences here. Royal Blood Architects, Biffy, Clyro. I've never heard of them. I'll have to look them up. Spirit Box and Incubus. Shout out to Spirit Boxer from Vancouver. I'm actually...
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm going to dial in on Spirit Box and Incubus because Incubus reminds me of being alive around the year 1999 and wearing seashell necklaces and being like, bro. And then Spirit Box because they're kind of the newer... I don't know what you would call those people. But anyway, dialing in on those two influences, that's a very unique set of influences. How did they play a part in this EP? I mean, Spirit Box I get going heavier, but Incubus...
That's one. I think that's one of yours, isn't it, Rick?
It is. I've loved Incubus since I think I discovered them on. I think it was Make Yourself. I discovered them on, and I've loved them ever since. Honestly, like the way that they've evolved over time, especially the bass player. Both bass players. The ones on Make Yourself and before that. Absolutely amazing, and then Ben Kenny doing stuff on A Crow Left of the Murder. He's insane as well. So I've loved it for the bass playing, but I've found always like there's an Incubus song for everything, and I just love their back catalogue. I love everything they do. Live, they're brilliant, and they always come up with something new. Absolutely amazing band.
Did you ever wear seashells and listen to Jack Johnson as well, or?
No, I never got to that stage.
Okay. All right. Very cool. Now, Off the Wire. Off the Wire. I went off the wire for a second there. Lead single off of the EP. Tell us about this track. What is this track about?
Well, Off the Wire has it's the starting theme of, I guess, it's all about kind of, I guess, mental well-being. That's a massive topic right now, right? Mental health and mental well-being. And, even myself, I've suffered from a little bit of anxiety every now and then. And it's all about, having those kind of anxiety and pressures, whether it's other people or sometimes we put on ourselves. And it's all about kind of that sort of having that burden always kind of in your head. And it sort of grows to the point to where you just like, I've got to pull the plug on it before I lose it. So it's that whole experience of that kind of build up and sort of those internal struggles, really.
Is that what we're seeing on the artwork for Spiral?
Yeah, it's all connected. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's also then what's influenced the lyrics onto the other tracks for Spiral as well. Yeah. Okay,
so I guess in relation, do I want to call it a quarantine EP or a lockdown EP or a pandemic EP?
Oh, I guess it's inspired by the lockdown, isn't it?
Yeah. It'd be nice not to be pigeonholed by the fact that it was created in lockdown, but I mean, it was created in lockdown, so it's going to be influenced by that as well. Yeah.
Because, I mean, I'll be honest, it was probably the best year of my life for a number of reasons, and I know it was the worst year for a lot of people. So I don't typically say that out loud, although I did just now. Because now that we're kind of coming to an end, people are like, are you going to miss it? And I'm like, kind of, yeah. My daughter was born. I was home a lot. It was, for a number of reasons, it was really good. Now, I know for a lot of people, it really wasn't. But just looking at the artwork and understanding the anxiety and the mental health, I know that's where a lot of people went. And I've seen the stats of like suicides here in Canada alone increasing by 40%.
Gosh, that's really sad. And yeah, I think it's just been a struggle for a lot of people. I think some of us have been lucky, I think, during lockdown, and congrats on the baby as well. That's really good news.
Thank you.
And Rick's also had a baby that came along the way during the lockdown as well. So
and Paul as well. So Paul, the guitarist, and myself we both had children during lockdown, which has been amazing.
Mm. Yeah. Lockdown babies.
Absolutely. But I know. I think it's just adjusting to something completely different, isn't it? For everyone, that was a real that could have been a real struggle for a lot of people. And then, you get into bad habits and stuff, don't you, as well, when you're in lockdown at home and, not doing a whole lot and binge watching on a lot of films and TV, stuff like that. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to get back out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it will. Now, I guess my next question is more of I don't know how I want to phrase it, but I'll just say it out loud, which is a 3-song EP. You guys had so much free time to give me more.
Well, there was a struggle. Yeah, we were struggling with. We did have a whole ton of songs, didn't we? Like that we kind of developed during that time, and we sort of narrowed it down to a couple. And we just when we presented that to the guys at the recording studio, because we Paul Visser produced it, and along with his team and Dave, they gave us quite a lot of really good sound advice, on really refining a couple of the ones that we went for, and we focused a lot on those, actually, didn't we, Rick? We really worked on those ones instead. We sort of honed in on those.
I think that was it. We kind of went for quality over quantity, and also the 3 songs that we put in the EP we felt went well together. And we did have other songs that were in the works, but they just didn't really fit with the overall theme. And I think it all came down to that we really wanted to get into the recording studio, and we were really happy with those 3 songs. And we decided quite early on to focus on those 3 and go, let's get those as good as they can be, get those recorded and just get something out, really.
Okay. You mentioned he gave you some sound advice. I'd hope that a recording studio gives you sound advice. How can you tell I'm a dad? All right, so here he is right here. Swashling young buck with a Viking beard and the hair swoosh. A good-looking young man. He's even got a tape plug-in.
I'm sure I'll take that as a lovely compliment.
Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, I don't have a real one. Okay, he'll probably get really defensive. I don't know, Paul. But why Paul? Out of all the people in London, why Paul?
So we had kind of looked around, and again, we were looking for someone who was also kind of would also appreciate that sound we were developing at that time. We were talking about that heavier sound. And I think Paul himself, he's in an awesome band called Black Orchid Empire. They're a great band, also, quite great, solid rock riffs and rock tunes. And so, I think Paul found him and approached to see if they would be interested in recording us, because, with that kind of sound, it's just kind of ideal and, a great match for us. To go into that studio, and like I said, is getting some great experience and advice from someone like that. Hey, so I think that's kind of what really made our choice there.
Mm-hmm. Fan freaking tastic. The other thing I was going to say is a couple of the bands you guys had mentioned, like Architects and Spirit Box. You could reach out to their producers and be like, "Yo, listen up." Not that you talk like that, but you'd be like, "Yo, listen up. We want to we want to sound like Spirit Box, so do it." And then you just pressure them with anxiety.
Yeah, that will be our next step. I think we'll take your advice on that one. But I think Spirit Box, they do quite a lot of their own recording as well, don't they? They do quite a good amount of producing as well. So
Yes, they do. I was privy to, what was the song? Holy Roller, which is obviously a big song for them. Yeah. I was privy to watching a session where the producer that they had worked with went through that whole process of working with them on that song. He was a guy out of LA. I think they worked with somebody else on their most recent album, but at the time they were working with that guy out of LA. And he was talking about how, because they've been around the block a few times before they got around to Spirit Box, that he was actually being introduced to studio concepts and things from them.
All right.
Like, Yeah, like neural DSP plugins he wasn't using up until they were, because they were using some Nolly stuff at the time. So the tone on Spirit Box isn't even a real amp. It's the Nolly neural DSP stuff. And then, yeah, I think they chose the drum kit and Superior drummer too. So, like, it's not even a real band on that song. But, you know, it goes to show that a lot of stuff doesn't need to be a real band as long as you feel something.
Absolutely. It's just amazing what you can, you know, pick up and, you know, along the way, and yeah, what you can experiment around with as well. Yeah. Stuff, you know, we've kind of picked up as well, and tried to use, and we keep taking every bit of advice and so forth to, you know, to take on every time. I've definitely learned a lot from kind of all these other bands and, you know, producers and then so forth.
You could call it stealing. You're stealing a little bit at night.
Inspiration, man.
Inspiration, right. Yeah. Night thievery.
Night inspiration? I don't know.
Nocturnal inspiration.
There you go.
That sounds disgusting. Frustrations in lockdown, auditioning drummers, Sting, anxiety, off the wire. Those are some of the things that we were able to chat about today. As well as the EP itself, Spiral. Was there anything that I missed, gang?
We've got Toned, haven't we, as well? That's the other one on the EP, and we'll have a video coming out for that one as well, close to the EP release. And yeah, that's probably, that kind of came pretty much after Off the Wire, I think, didn't it, Rick? I think it was that one. Again, similar theme, a bit more about polarized views that we see a lot nowadays. You know, we see far right and the far left. You know, there's a lot of kind of divided opinion about stuff, and you know, the effects that can have on people too. So that one was much more of an energized, I guess, song, and it was really fun doing the video for that as well. I think we did that like about a month ago, didn't we, Rick?
I think so.
Yeah.
Liverpool, so it was really nice to like feel like a band again, like going up. We went up to Liverpool, and we filmed in a warehouse and got some really cool shots. We got the video back last week, and we absolutely love it and can't wait to release it.
Yeah,
very cool. Well, this episode will air in August, so if it's available and you're listening on Spotify, it'll be in the show notes below. If you're listening on the website, therockmetalpodcast.ca, it'll be available in the show notes below. If you're watching on YouTube, so you can see how exceptionally good looking this band is, then it will also be in the show notes below. A link to Off the Wire, and of course, if the new video is available, then it will be in there as well. Otherwise, just go to nightthieves.co.uk, which will be also available in the show notes, and you can keep up to date with everything Night Thieves. I was going to say Night Thievery, but I didn't want to change the grammar of your moniker. Sweet. Okay. And then obviously, if you're a drummer, reach out to the gang, because they need a drummer. And if you guys already have a drummer, then you just tell these people no. You just swat them with a fly swatter, and no, or a newspaper. No.
Absolutely. Otherwise, yeah, make sure, come down to London.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Beautiful. Okay. Well, gang, thank you so much for coming on to the Rock Metal Podcast today.
Awesome.
Thank you for having us. It was awesome.
Thank you so much.